More and more migrant workers find their way into Eastern EU member states. The situation of most of these migrant workers is precarious. Their integration into the labour market and society is insufficient. They usually do not speak the language of the country where they look for jobs. They lack social security and are highly dependent on their employers. They run the risk of overexploitation, unnoticed and ignored. This situation of migrant workers in the eastern part of the EU is similar in all 6 countries, from north to south. Estonia, where Ukrainians, Belarusians and Russians try to find jobs. Poland, which receives mainly workers from Ukraine, Belarus and Moldova. The Czech Republic, where mainly Ukrainian and Russian migrant workers go. Slovakia, which receives Ukrainians and migrants from Balkan countries, Serbia and Bosnia. Hungary receives migrants mainly from the Ukraine and neighboring Serbia. Migrants to Croatia come mostly from Bosnia, Serbia and to a lesser extent Ukraine. How do social partners react to these foreign workers? Employer organizations and trade unions have different views. Employers say they need these migrant workers to make up for acute labor shortages. Employers want no special rules and restrictions on their use of these workers. Employers find quota systems obsolete. Trade unions fear overexploitation of migrant workers and anarchy on the labor market. They fear undermining of traditional standards. They fear the introduction of atypical contracts. Yet trade unions have no clear strategy on how to deal with migrant workers. Trade unions lack capacity and information. Collective bargaining does not cover migrant workers and their integration. There is no social dialogue on migrant workers from neighbouring non-EU member states. Governments try to remedy acute labour shortages, but are not sensitive to the problems of migrant workers. To sum up, employers, trade unions and governments in all 6 Eastern EU member states thus far do not pay enough attention to migrant workers from outside the EU. This situation spells high social costs and conflicts affecting migrant and local workers. The situation is made worse by COVID-19. It leads to unjust and inhumane practices on the labour market and in society. This threat to society at large demands a firm response of social partners and governments in all 6 countries alike. It is time to act. Therefore, increase state support for social dialogue. Put migrant workers on the agenda of social dialogue meetings. Discuss their situation regularly. Re-evaluate regulation of migrant workers' employment and social security. Develop a joint strategy for economic and social integration. Beef up the labour inspectorates in all 6 countries studied. Support research on worker migration and collect relevant data. Offer language courses to migrant workers. Inform migrant workers about their economic and social rights. Tell migrants where to turn to in case of problems.